Hello, everybody. My name is Aristo, and today I want to give you an account of my metaphysics because I believe quite strongly in what I believe right now. I want this to be kind of a snapshot in my philosophical evolution on what I believe the world to be like. And if I'm ever going to change my mind, then I'll have to come back to this video and, isolate where I was mistaken or misguided. So let's get into it. So, first of all, generally speaking, I'm a materialist, of course, with caveats. Now, it's important to remember that all metaphysics have caveats. And you might say, well, if you just accept the existence of a God, then you don't need to have any caveats. Well, in my view, just introducing the existence of God is a caveat because it cannot be proven from reason alone. It needs to be uh, in the context of faith, and I don't deal with faith. Um, or at least I believe that faith is a caveat in itself. So let me tell you why I'm a materialist. I believe that everything that is real exists in the physical world, in this realm of existence, right? I don't believe that there is any other realm of existence. And I believe that trying to even describe a realm like that is very difficult. The world, the universe is bound by space and time, and everything that exists materially. How would you even conceive of a world where there's no time and no space? Like, what would that, a useful tool in philosophy is thinking about, can I even conceptualize this? I cannot conceptualize a realm of existence without time, without space, without matter. Like, then nothing just exists. Like, then there's nothing. And if someone were to be in the comments watching this video and just try to explain with words how the immaterial realm of existence might look, right? Is because there's no space, there's no matter, there's no time. Like, can things even happen without time? Can things even exist meaningfully without existing physically? Then there's the interaction problem. If there is a realm of immaterial stuff, how does it interact with the material world, right? Because by definition, immaterial things are things that don't exist physically. And they are things that we can't measure or see or interact with, because they, by definition, exist on a different plane of reality, of existence. So then the question becomes, how do these two worlds interact? And here we run into the problems with God, for example, or with certainly it's the main um, the main conundrum with ideas of a soul or consciousness. If we have this kind of soul that's been bestowed upon us by a higher power, or you can believe that there isn't a higher power, but simply that we have been bestowed with souls anyways, right? The main question here is like, okay, but how does that work? Why am I conscious? Like, where is this consciousness that makes me conscious, right? Where in my body is it? Because it definitely seems to be confined to my body. If it's not, then why can I not, why is my consciousness here? Why can't I go over there? Why can I not go into my brother's mind? Like, why can I not hear his thoughts? And again, if the immaterial world does not even exist in a field of matter and space, then why is it that it interacts with space in this way if it's not just a constant, universal existence? It's really strange, and it's the core of the interaction problem. And that's something that I think is really telling. It's very difficult to kind of give an account of why things work the way they work if you propose that there is such a thing as the immaterial, um, and how that coexists and indeed influences the world of physical matter. Now, on my account as a materialist, I don't believe that there is such a thing as immaterial stuff, and that by that virtue, there's no interaction problem. And this metaphysical stance of materialism is the only metaphysical stance that avoids the interaction problem. I don't even need to explain to you where the soul is. I don't need to explain to you what consciousness is as a separate thing from the body. I don't believe that it is a separate thing. I believe that me as a human, as a person, I'm not more than my body. There's nothing outside of my body that is me. Like when I die, I'm dead. Like because my body dies. I am my body. And now some people have an intuitive repulsion towards that, but that's not, facts don't care about your feelings, as, a somewhat wise man once said. Um, and you might want there to be something more. You might want a soul. You might want to be, in some way connected to some higher power, and you feel spiritually like you're connected to the universe. I don't believe that. I think that's you know not it doesn't seem very intuitive to me once you actually start looking into what that would metaphysically look like, what like practically be, and I might have to do some shrooms or some psychedelics, because I've heard that gives you kind of a different perspective, kind of feeling like you're unified with the universe. So that might actually be something for my, like, genuinely productive to do for someone like me who thinks about this stuff a lot. But anyways, I don't believe in the soul. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in, consciousness as a separate property from your physical body. And the caveats I have, I'll list them off for you. First of all, it's the emergence of anything, of the world, of the universe at all, right? The first cause, the uncaused cause. Um, something that, this kind of first principle. Um, why does anything exist, and how did anything come to exist? That's a question I cannot answer, but that's a question nobody can answer without inventing concepts of all powerful entities that just exist somehow on some other level than the physical universe, right? And to me, that's a bigger caveat than just saying, I don't know, because I don't know. But I don't think that well, I guess necessarily it does have to do with something that exists outside of physical matter, because, well, given you don't say that the universe is eternal and has been eternal, cosmological, and that's a good argument. That's why I say that, like, this problem of the emergence of the universe is the only caveat I kind of have, because I can't answer it. I don't think that kind of inquiry is in the realm of science. And I certainly don't think we can answer it by, just introducing certain concepts. I think that um, science cannot answer that, because science is the study of the world as we interact with it, and we cannot interact with something that's not in the physical world. And so, what came before the physical world is, by definition, necessarily inaccessible to us. And so but again, I don't believe that we need to answer that question for any practical purposes. Now, of course, this is not a discussion about practical purpose. It's about metaphysics, about what I believe to be true in the universe. And so I will say this: I don't know, and I don't think that's a problem that I don't know. But everything else I can fairly well describe just by, invoking the principles of the laws of physics, of evolution. I actually have a way for people to either dispel of their immaterialism, or start to have qualms with evolution. And you ask this simple question: where in the path of evolution were humans bestowed a soul? How big do our brains have to be until where we become, like, chosen by God to become like this, like in a unique way sentient, in a unique way conscious, that's different from dogs, that's different from monkeys and different primates, that, is in our evolutionary tree, but don't have the same emergence of this type of consciousness, of being aware that you are alive and being aware that I actually still have not found the right way to formulate this, like the uniqueness of human consciousness, the awareness of your own thoughts, the awareness of, like, I don't really know how to describe that, but you get what I mean, right? This uniqueness of our consciousness, of our state of mind. When exactly in the evolutionary timeline did we gain this? Because if this is indeed something that is bestowed upon us immaterially, right? Did we always have this? Doesn't seem like it, because then why don't other monkeys have it? If we were, if we accept the theory of evolution and we have this idea of the, uh, you know, what's it called? Like the first common ancestor. We all come from, these microbacteria millions and millions and millions of years ago. Um, and then we just evolve and multiply and shit, and that's complicated. But it seems to me to be a way for me as a materialist to explain a lot of this stuff that we see in the world. Mainly the existence of us, explaining humans, humanity, and why we are the way we are. Um, and also morality is a big thing in this, right? I believe in morality insofar as we feel it. Human morality is real. It's objectively real that we have moral intuitions. However, it's not true to say that these moral principles exist outside of humans, like outside of humanity. Because if you are a moral objectivist, what you're saying is that these moral rules that are true existed before humans, even before life of any kind existed, even, before the conception of the universe in a way, or at least they emerged with the start of everything, right? They just existed. And who decides what they are? I don't know, but somehow they just exist in this, like, I guess, kind of the concept of the world of forms, the theory of forms. Like this concept of the good just exists, and that exists as a matter of fact in some sense in the universe, probably immaterially that would be, because it's not, you can't touch the good. You cannot really describe it. It's a good good it's a good comparison. I heard the other day Alex O'Connor was talking about morality. The color of yellow, how do you describe that? If you give all the empirical data of the color of yellow, you still can't really, like, tell someone how the color yellow looks. They have to see it for themselves. And so the experience of the color yellow kind of exists in the same way that good exists, in the sense that you can describe good, you can do good, but the experience of understanding what good is by definition not something that is empirical, that can be measured or described. But I don't believe in any of that, right? I believe that good is moral intuition, and it's simply that. It's just like what we describe as being good, and why we describe it as being good is partly genetics. It's evolutionary. Um, our moral intuitions as humans are, you know, with a very broad brushstroke, um, they uh, they condemn antisocial tendencies and behavior. And why they do that is because humans are very tribal animals, like, or like, we work in tribes, we work together. Our strength is in our numbers and in our innovation and in, certainly, community, learning and teaching and generational development. I don't know how to describe that properly, but you get what I mean. That's the unique evolutionary strategy of humanity that allowed us to conquer the world. And so, to be able to have this cooperation that leads to our prosperity, you need social cohesion. And the moral intuitions we have are things that promote social cohesion and things that condemn antisocial behavior that weakens social trust and that weakens social bonds and social cohesion. So basically, moral intuitions, we feel things are good and bad because they either promote or kind of deteriorate social cohesion that is central for our survivability. It's all about, what's it called? It's all about survival of the fittest. And for humans to be the fittest, which we can be and which we have been, to produce this society that we have, social cohesion was required. And as a species, we then had to develop, instinctive moral tendencies that steered clear from antisocial behavior because we need the social cohesion to survive, because that's how we work. So I think morality is probably genetics, but then again, people have different moral intuitions and moral standards. That's on the part of culture, right? So it's probably genetics, which I think is the biggest part of it. Most religions have the same kind of instinct of like peacefulness. Don't kill, don't steal, don't hurt each other, help each other instead. Like, things that promote society, the prosperity of the masses. Um, yeah, that's why fundamentally a lot of cultures have the same instincts on morality, because we're all human and we all needed these tendencies to evolve and create a prosperous species. But on the other part is culture, and that's what's transformative about morality. That's why morality has changed throughout the years, throughout human history. I mean, what was okay 100 years ago is certainly not okay today. What was okay 500 years ago is certainly not okay today. The best example of this is, slavery, right? Um, it was okay culturally, you could say, 500 years ago in the U.S., or like, the slave trade, and it's not okay today, and it wasn't okay then either. But even in me saying that it wasn't okay then either, kind of puts me in a weird place because I sound like a moral objectivist. There were moral principles that were true then and now, and it was independent of culture. But what I mean, I guess, is that I feel like there is truth in, I feel that there is objective truth in the human rights thoughts that have emerged. If you are a human, no matter your circumstances, you have certain rights. And I feel that to be true. I feel that to be a good direction for the morality of culture to go in. Now, am I a moral objectivist then? No, I don't think I need to be. If I simply say that what I feel to be morally objectively true, or at least the direction that I feel to be objectively true, is based in the genetic dispositions of humans that promote social cohesion. I believe that slavery is not good for. I believe that slavery is not moral. And why do I believe that instinctively? Well, I believe that all humans have the right to dignity that is taken away from you as a slave. And why do I feel that? Well, probably because as a human, I instinctively want a society that works, and slavery and inequality is not something that promotes social cohesion. It creates a society of distrust and of hatred. Um, I'm really just kind of speculating here, but It's a difficult question, and I need to figure these things out, right? But I still think I'm on the right track. So I believe that morality is partly genetics, partly culture, and culture is the transformative part of morality. Now, uh, yeah, all right. I think I covered that. So again, morality on the account of materialism. Then let's continue because we move now into, okay, let me cover meaning as well. I don't believe that there is any inherent meaning to our existence. Like, I don't believe that we are put here for a meaning. I believe that our emergence is not random, like causally, but it wasn't decided upon by some intelligence that we were going to emerge. I believe that that was surely destined in the context of cause and effect, but again, not decided upon by some intelligence that had a will for us to emerge. I don't believe that to be the case. So there's no meaning to our existence more than kind of just, the as meaning is tantamount to purpose, as purpose is tantamount to reason. Like the reason we're here is just because that's what life does. It wants to preserve. It wants to reproduce. It wants to keep on living, and this kind of very, very, very fundamental desire to keep on living is what drives all life and us. And I think that we think it's more profound than it is. And that sounds a bit cynical, but again, we're not talking about emotions here. It's just what I believe to be metaphysically true. I don't believe that there is any objective meaning, but however, now I mean to move into the real interesting part here, which is that even like because the main objection against materialism is actually not metaphysical. It's more emotional. It's like, oh, so you believe that there's no right and wrong? How could you say that? Oh, you don't believe there's any meaning. You're a nihilist. Like people are gonna fucking kill each other and society is gonna collapse. And so I mean that you mean to say that I don't actually love my family because it's just some chemical impulse. Okay, let's calm down a little bit. First of all, now we're moving away from the metaphysical discussion. Now we're moving into like emotions, um, which is a very, very real thing and an important thing to tackle. Like, of course, if I'm going to live as a materialist, then I need to also take account for the fact that if you have no objective morality, then how can you like ground a judicial system? How does that work? And I'll tell you. But again, we need to understand that here we're actually moving away from just talking about metaphysics in a very dry, unemotional way into actually like how can we practically ground a materialist atheist society. And so to finish off the metaphysical part, I said that the main kind of critique against materialism is these instinctive emotional arguments, and obviously there are other like actual arguments as well. As I said, the caveats of the emergence of the universe is one that I recognize, right? That's not something I can answer. But I think that I am not really, it's not really a caveat to say that I just don't know how that works. In the same sense that I'm saying I don't know the intricacies and the details of the brain, the mechanisms of the brain that allow the emergence of this experience of consciousness. But I don't believe that it has anything to do with immaterial stuff. Um, Rather, it's just this super complex machine that creates this experience. And that in itself is very cool. Like I can be grateful for that. I can wake up every day and say like, what the hell? This is so cool. I'm like a clump of atoms and still I feel like I'm me, I'm a person, and I feel like I have free will and I feel like I can do whatever I want and I feel like things matter. That's amazing. That's so cool, even though like it's not actually like real. And some might say that's like that sentiment of being happy and grateful that things feel real even though they are not. Some people will say that's very cynical and leads to nihilism. I don't think it has to. And that's what I'm getting to as well. Look, I've been thinking about this concept of objectivity not from a universal scale, but from a human scale. Is morality, are there objective moral laws? The answer is probably on a universal scale, like on not universally as universally across humanity, but universally across the universe, right? Inherent to the existence of the universe. Is there moral principles? And I think no. But on a human scale, right? Just on earth, because that's the realm of humanity on earth. And within the minds of humans, are there objective moral principles across humanity? And I could say yes, in the sense that we have universally, subjectively experienced, but still like across all of humanity, moral intuitions. Don't kill, don't steal, don't lie. Be a good person. Generosity is good, right? Philanthropy is good. Working hard for, providing for your family and making sure that everybody can eat is good. Equality is good. And equality is a very nebulous concept in the sense that you can extrapolate a lot from that. But generally speaking, equality of opportunity, I think, is good. And this is kind of where culture comes in. But again, I believe that a large part of what we believe to be good and bad is unanimously agreed upon across humanity. And those are the objective, they are the objective moral principles insofar as they are universally subjectively experienced all across humanity. And that's what I mean about objective morality on the human scale. And so someone who is very concerned with me being a materialist and saying, well, how do you get morality? Do you just mean that nothing is truly right or wrong? No, I believe that things are truly right or wrong. Just not that that's some code written in the DNA of the universe. I'm saying that moral intuitions are real. Like, these things are real. Because the feeling of me, like, again, in that sense, I am an ethical emotivist, right? That it's all about intuition. It's about how I feel. But those feelings are real. Those feelings are very real, and they matter. And that's like, we should dictate judicial systems, culture, how we structure society from these moral intuitions. And I'm actually very interested in the topic of culture and what culture is, and how it kind of transforms and lays as the foundation for how we build society. But again, I think that there are moral laws that we should follow, and laws insofar as what we all unanimously believe to be the case. And again, that's largely a part of culture. But it's difficult. It's difficult. But I believe that I'm on the. I truly believe that I'm on the right track. Right. Okay, and the same thing goes for meaning. I don't believe that on a universal scale there is any meaning for humans, but on a human scale, on Earth, there is so much meaning to be had. it's such a stupid thing to even propose that there is no meaning, because obviously there is meaning. There's so much meaning. People feel meaning all the time. That's why people do things. Me doing this, I'm doing this because I feel that it is a meaningful pursuit to talk about this and to share this with you all. And it fills me with a sense of drive, of motivation. It means something to me, and that feeling is real. That's like it's an objective fact that I feel meaning. And so that meaning, in some sense, does objectively exist. But trying to ground that metaphysically is a fruitless endeavor. And also, even if you were like it doesn't matter. You don't need to ground that metaphysically because it's real on a human scale. It's very real on a human scale. Raising children is I don't have any kids myself, but people purport to be the most meaningful experience you can have. That's real. Like, I'm not saying that these people who have children don't actually love their children or don't actually find some deep sense of meaning in raising kids. Obviously they do, and obviously that's a good thing. Um, but but I can believe that and be a materialist at the same time, because the discussion of metaphysics, you can separate that, in a meaningful sense from the discussion of human practice of meaning and of morality. Um, so, and in that sense, the divide here is between, the just facts don't care about your feelings and actual human life. Uh, and if you think that making this split is philosophically irreconcilable, then I think you're a psychopath, in the sense that if you don't believe that we can ground morality in objective metaphysics, then we shouldn't have any morality at all, and judicial systems are philosophically bankrupt and morally bankrupt. Well, I guess you wouldn't believe in morality then, but philosophically bankrupt, and you have no basic, you have no right to give out, to punish someone who has killed several people. You have no right to do that, because how do you ground that metaphysically? That if you think that that's how the world looks on materialism, I think you're a psychopath, because that's not how this works. Of course, we should punish a person who kills other people, but not on the basis of some metaphysical rule, on the basis of that's how we feel. We feel that punishing this person, whether that be with life in prison or in some cases the death penalty. I'm not sure what I think about the death penalty. I'm not really for it, because, well, I don't really know. I would have to look into that. But the death penalty is a very interesting philosophical conversation, but it's not one that I'm going to have today because I don't really know what I believe yet. But look, when we punish someone with life in prison or a death penalty, it's not because that's like a written rule in the universe. It's because we feel that is a reasonable punishment. Like, we just feel that. And that feeling is real and valuable. And I think that feeling is one that should dictate society, even though we cannot ground it metaphysically. And that's what I mean about separating the universal scale and the human scale. Because if we don't do that, then we can't be philosophically consistent. And if you think that making this split is dishonest, or like it doesn't work, because then you're just kind of like, if your stance is that, then you have to be a theist and you have to introduce this whole realm of the immaterial, and I just think it's so far-fetched. It's so unnecessary. If you're just willing to draw this line between what's, factually, metaphysically true and what's true on a human scale, then you're just, I think that's then you're stubborn. Then you're the stubborn one. Then you're the one who is trying to cling on to their worldview as you accuse me of doing because I can't ground my ethics. It just irritates me. Well, I guess I'll have to see the response to this video to actually see how people feel. But I feel that, what I've laid out here in this video is what I'll continue to believe for a long while, because I don't see me becoming a theist. I don't see me starting to suddenly believe in the immaterial. Now, what I would like to look into is psychedelic drugs, is to see exactly what people think is irreconcilable on the view of materialism, like things that have to be immaterial. For example, experience in itself. But I don't think experience in itself, like experiencing the color yellow, is a thing. It's not stuff. It's just like, it's difficult to describe, but it's not something. So yeah. And then I would also like to look into culture more. This gets political, but yeah, it does get political because everything on the human scale is political. And you need to be able to separate the metaphysical scale, which is largely apolitical, because we're not talking about what actually works in society. We're actually just talking about what we believe to be the closest approximation to the metaphysical truth that we can have. So this is not like I never want to have a political discussion that covers metaphysics. I never want to do that because I don't believe that those topics are congruent if you actually want to be serious about it. And that's why I believe that, the state should always be secular. The judicial system should always be secular, because it makes no sense. And I have so many. I'm probably going to make another video about my intuitive problems with religion, which there are many. And a lot of them have to do with morality, like having an ultimate authority is just not in the nature of humanity. There is moral progress across culture and across time. And to say that now you have this book, this corpus that just lays out this, set in stone moral code that is, eternal and can never be questioned. I don't think that that's in the nature of humanity. I'll save this for another video. Please tell me what you think. This video is 37 minutes long as I record this. I'm probably just going to upload this, honestly, because I can't be bothered anymore to record videos, edit them, and then I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should make this a little bit better, a little bit more concise. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate all the input I get. I read, obviously, all the comments. On the last video I did about theory of mind, I got a lot of comments, and I appreciate them. And I want to say that I do want to interact with them honestly, and with the I do genuinely want to discuss the topics. But I think that if you fundamentally disagree on metaphysics, it's difficult to have that conversation, because it's not really then about theory of mind. It's about something bigger. It's about, materialism versus immaterialism. And if someone is a staunch materialist or a staunch immaterialist, you're not going to be able to convince each other, because you're fundamentally working on different principles. And so, I had this conversation with a guy in the comments, and it was a good conversation. It was like we discussed back and forth arguments and stuff. But again, our differences are not reconcilable because we fundamentally believe different things metaphysically. And again, I want to be very clear to say that when we're speaking about things that are purely metaphysical, it's apolitical. That should not go into the field of what is practically good for humanity, because that's a totally different conversation in my eyes. Like, religion might be very good, or parts of religion might be very good for human prosperity on the individual and societal level, but I believe it to be metaphysically very difficult to defend, or to prove. So yeah, that's what I believe. Keep the metaphysical apolitical, and and use human moral intuition for the judicial system, and grounding morality in just that. And we don't need to ground in anything else. And if you believe we do, then I just think you're a psychopath. That's it. Thank you.